It's a sad day for the country today. India bidding farewell to Pranab Mukherjee, the Bharat Ratna, the former President of India. A state funeral for the former President Pranab Mukherjee. You can see images of the President paying his respects, as also the Prime Minister, several political leaders across political lines. There have been condolences from China, there have been condolences from Bangladesh as well. This was a leader who was extremely popular, not just in India, but across the world. Salman, Khurshid joins us, as does Swapan Dasgupta, to share their memories of Pranab Mukherjee. Let me come across to you first, Mr. Khurshid. What are some of your most memorable experiences with Pranab Mukherjee?
Well, frankly, I can just think of many moments that I've spent with Pranab Da, both while he was a party leader and a minister, and then of course as president. And I've traveled with him. I've traveled across the globe with him. I've been in Saudi Arabia with him. I think the moments, memorable moments with him are anecdotal, are the stories that he used to tell, and how he used to put you at comfort in private, in conversations. And I can't think of anybody else in the entire party that would give that kind of comfort to a person. And I must say that he showed me a lot of indulgence. And you know, there are interesting stories. I just don't know where to begin and where to go. But yeah, a lot of interesting stories that I've heard from him.
Yeah. Joined by Swapan Dasgupta at this stage. Mr. Dasgupta, Pranab Mukherjee had friends across political lines. That's been reported a great deal. In your interaction with him, could you share with us something memorable about him, perhaps a quirk, something funny about him? Because at many levels he was an extremely personable individual.
Yes, I think Pranab Mukherjee, above all, had a certain wry sense of humor. I recall a particular incident in Karnataka after an election which the Congress lost badly. And I recall talking to him at that particular point, looking at analyzing the particular reasons why the Congress lost. When we were interrupted by a journalist who asked a very simple question, "Sir, why did the Congress lose?" And he looked at him and looked at the person straight in the eye and said, "Well, because the other side got more votes." And he also had a rather interesting way. For example, I know at one dinner in Rashtrapati Bhavan when he was president, and that was a time when there was a certain turbulence in Bangladesh-India relationship, and the Chief Minister of Bengal was being rather difficult. And he said, and he told me in Bangla, and he sort of said, "You know, I don't understand what she says, but most of the time when she talks in English or Bangla, I am clueless. Can you make sense of what she's trying to say?" And you know, that was terribly indiscreet for a president to say. But again, he could say it. Well, what I'm saying is that Pranab Mukherjee, there was a human facet of Pranab Mukherjee. But I would really sort of remember him as the person who excelled in the management of power. You know, he was not a mass politician under any circumstances. He was perhaps a politician which you find in a lot of the Western democracies, people who know how to manage the system. And that system he could manage by excelling in, he knew the rules, he knew the procedures inside out, and he could manage it. Many politicians are clueless once they come to power.
Right.
But he was someone who knew how to stretch the system to the limits.
Sure.
That's because he had a certain innate grasp of the system itself. He read the briefs thoroughly. He was completely attuned. He had a profound sense of the past. And this is what gave him that sort of importance in a political system where the past is often very easily forgotten. He knew the precedents.
Okay.
And he could exactly point to that. I think that's what made him a little special in that setup.
Okay. One final question to you, Mr. Khurshid. You, as a Congress insider, do you believe there was ever a realistic chance of him becoming a Prime Minister, a position that he'd always coveted?
Well, I think he had the capacity, capability, and the experience to be anything at the top. Certainly Prime Minister. But, destiny plays a big role in this. And at the time when he could have become Prime Minister, it was so destined that there were other persons who were capable and who got picked to be Prime Minister. And therefore, I guess for him, the presidentship was the second best that he could have got. But I do believe, and I've never said this to him, and I've never known what he might have said in reaction, but I do believe presidentship took him away from what he really cherished, valued, and enjoyed. And that was the hardcore politics that you have to keep yourself aloof from when you're president. And I think that's what he must have missed as president. Even in his post-presidential career, quite often when one spoke to him, he would say that, I would like to be able to contribute something, but that I can't do it in public. He was very conscious of the protocol that he had to observe. That was a self-imposed protocol. So as someone described him today as the best Prime Minister India never had, I think there is no better way of describing it.
All right, Mr. Khurshid and Mr. Dasgupta, thank you both very much for joining us. Thanks very much indeed.